Hello, everyone. Today we talk about Jesus. He is a very important person. Many people know him. Some say he is a religious leader. Others say he is a man from history. He lived about 2,000 years ago. His story is old, but it still matters now. We will learn his life. It will be simple and fun. Imagine you hear about Jesus for the first time. What do you want to know? Let's begin. Jesus lived in a faraway land. His time was different from ours. People walked or rode donkeys. They had no cars. They worked hard every day. Are you ready to hear his story? 1. Who is Jesus? Jesus lived long ago. It was about 2,000 years ago. We know him from old books. These books are the Gospels. There are 4: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. People wrote them after Jesus died. The stories tell about his life. Sometimes they are different. Each book has its own way. For many, Jesus is special. Christians believe he is God's son. They say he came to help people. He brought love and hope. For others, he is just a man. They study him like a teacher or leader. Everyone agrees on this. Jesus changed the world. His words lasted a long time. People still follow him today. The Gospels are the main books. They don't tell everything. Some parts are missing. For example, we don't know his whole life. But they show big moments. They tell who Jesus was. People read them to learn. Some read for faith. Others read for history. Jesus lived in Judea. It was a small land. People there grew wheat and olives. They built houses from stone. Life was simple but busy. The Gospels were written by men who knew Jesus or heard about him. They used scrolls, not paper. Imagine you find an old book about Jesus. What would you read first? Try saying this: Jesus changed the world. 2. Early life. Jesus was born in Bethlehem. This was a small town. It happened about 2,000 years ago. His mother was Mary. She was young and kind. His father was Joseph. Joseph worked with wood. He was a carpenter. The Gospels of Matthew and Luke tell his birth story. They say Mary and Joseph were engaged. One day, an angel came to Mary. The angel said, "You will have a baby. Call him Jesus. He will be special." Christians believe God sent Jesus. Joseph was not his real father. This was strange for Mary. She was surprised. But she said, "Okay, I trust God." Joseph trusted God too. They got ready for the baby. They traveled to Bethlehem. It was a long trip. They walked many days. Bethlehem was a big place for this. Old writings said a leader would come from there. People waited for years. They thought Jesus was that leader. When he was born, visitors came. In Matthew, wise men came from the east. They traveled far. They brought gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. These were special things. In Luke, shepherds came. They worked with sheep. Angels told them, "A baby is born. Go see him." The shepherds ran to Bethlehem. They found Jesus in a stable. It was a place for animals. The night was cold. Stars shone bright. Jesus grew up in Nazareth. This was a quiet town in Galilee. It had hills and farms. People grew food there. His family lived simply. Mary took care of the home. Joseph made tables and chairs. Jesus had brothers: James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon. He had sisters too. Their names are not in the books. Maybe they played together. Maybe Jesus helped Joseph with wood. The family had a small house. They fetched water from a well. They ate bread and fish. Life was peaceful there. We don't know much about his childhood. The Gospels are quiet about it. But one story stands out. Jesus was 12. He went to Jerusalem with his parents. It was a big trip. They went for a festival. Many people prayed there. When it ended, Mary and Joseph went home. Jesus stayed behind. They didn't know. They looked for him. They were scared. "Where is Jesus?" they asked. After 3 days, they found him. He was in the temple. The temple was a holy place. Jesus sat with teachers. He asked questions. He listened well. The teachers were shocked. "This boy is smart," they said. Mary and Joseph came. They said, "Why did you stay?" Jesus said, "I was in my Father's house." They took him home. He grew up strong. Imagine you are Mary. How would you feel finding Jesus like that? Say this: Jesus was smart. 3. Beginning of work. Before Jesus worked, there was John the Baptist. John was a strong man. He lived near the Jordan River. He wore rough clothes. He ate locusts and honey. He told people, "Say sorry to God. Change your ways." He washed people in the river. This was called baptism. It showed they wanted to be good. The river was wide. Fish swam in it. People stood on the banks. They listened to John. John said, "Someone big is coming. I am small next to him." That was Jesus. One day, Jesus came. He said, "Baptize me, John." John was surprised. "You are greater than me," he said. But Jesus wanted it. So John put him in the water. The sun was high. The water was cool. When Jesus came up, something big happened. The sky opened. The Holy Spirit came down. It looked like a bird. A voice said, "You are my son. I love you." People saw this. They heard it. It showed Jesus was special. God picked him for a job. The crowd was quiet. They watched in wonder. After that, Jesus went to the desert. He stayed 40 days. He didn't eat. He was hungry. He prayed to God. The desert was hot. Sand was everywhere. The devil came. The devil said, "Make stones into bread. You can do it." Jesus said, "No. I need God, not just bread." The devil said, "Jump off a high place. Angels will catch you." Jesus said, "No. I won't test God." The devil tried again. "Bow to me. I'll give you everything." Jesus said, "Go away. I follow God." He stayed strong. Jesus left the desert. He went to Galilee. He said, "God's kingdom is near. Believe this good news." God's kingdom meant peace. It meant love. He needed helpers. He saw Simon and Andrew. They were fishermen. They used nets. Jesus said, "Follow me." They dropped their nets. They went with him. The sea was blue. Boats floated nearby. Next he saw James and John. They were with their father, Zebedee. They fixed nets in a boat. Jesus said, Come with me. They left the boat. They left their father. They followed Jesus. These 4 became his disciples. Jesus walked around Galilee. He taught in synagogues. These were prayer places. He said, "Love God. Be kind." People listened. His work started. Imagine you are a fisherman. Would you follow Jesus? Try this. Say, "I will follow." For Jesus' teachings. Jesus taught about God. He wanted people to live well. His big idea was God's kingdom. It was a place of peace. It was a place of love. He said, God's kingdom is close. You can join it. People liked his words. They came to hear him. Some walked far. They sat on grass. They listened all day. He told stories. These were called parables. They were easy. They had big meanings. One story was about a seed. It was small. It fell on the ground. It grew into a big tree. This showed God's kingdom starts tiny. Then it grows large. Another story was about a sheep. It was lost. A man searched for it. He found it and smiled. This showed God cares for all. One day he told about a kind man. A traveler was hurt. Others walked by. The kind man stopped. He helped. Jesus said, "Be like him." Jesus said, "Love God with your heart. Love your neighbor too." A neighbor is anyone. He said, "Be kind to everyone, even people you don't like." Love was big for Jesus. He taught forgiveness too. He said, "Forgive others. God forgives you." Forgiveness means no anger. It's hard, but it's good. People nodded. They liked this idea. He gave a big talk called the Sermon on the Mount. Many people sat down. He said, "Be humble. Be kind. Be fair." He said, "Don't judge people. Help them instead." He talked about peace. "Make peace," he said. "Don't fight." His words were simple, but they were strong. The hill was quiet. Birds flew above. Jesus knew Jewish laws. He talked about them. The Sabbath was a rest day. Some said, "Don't work on it." Jesus said, "Helping people is better than rules." Once he healed a man on the Sabbath. Leaders got mad. Jesus said, "Love matters more." He wanted people to feel God's love. Imagine you hear Jesus talk. What would you ask him? Say this, "Love is big." 5. Jesus' miracles. Jesus did special things. These were miracles. The Gospels tell them. One kind was healing. He helped sick people. A blind man couldn't see. Jesus touched him. He saw again. A lame man couldn't walk. Jesus said, "Stand." He walked. People clapped. They said, "This is amazing." A woman was sick for years. Jesus healed her too. She smiled big. Another kind was nature miracles. At a wedding, they had no wine. Jesus took water. He made it wine. Everyone drank and smiled. One night, he walked on water. His disciples saw him. They were scared. He said, "Don't worry. It's me." A storm came once. The boat shook. Jesus said, "Stop." The storm went quiet. The wind stopped fast. He also stopped evil spirits. Some people were sick from spirits. They shouted. Jesus said, "Leave them." The spirits ran away. The people felt better. These miracles showed God's power. Jesus used it to help. Crowds grew big. They followed him everywhere. Some believed in him. They said, "He is from God." Others didn't. They asked, "Is this true?" Leaders didn't like it. They said, "He gets too much attention." Miracles made people talk. They were big news. Imagine you see a miracle. What would you say? Try this. Say, Jesus helped people. 6. Going to Jerusalem. Later, Jesus went to Jerusalem. This was a big city. Jewish people loved it. In Galilee, many liked him. They followed him. But in Jerusalem, some leaders didn't. They argued. "He teaches wrong," they said. Trouble was coming. The roads were dusty. People carried baskets. Jesus arrived at festival time. People were everywhere. They welcomed him. They put coats on the road. They waved branches. They shouted, "Jesus is great. He's like a king." This was a happy welcome. They cheered loud. Kids ran around. They sang songs. He went to the temple. It was a prayer place. But people sold animals there. They traded money. Jesus got mad. He said, "This is wrong. This is God's house." He pushed tables over. He told them, "Go out." Coins fell on the floor. People ran away. The leaders heard this. They were angry. "Who is he to do this?" they asked. One disciple, Judas, turned bad. He went to the leaders. He said, "I'll help you catch Jesus." They gave him money. It was 30 silver coins. Judas waited for his chance. Things got hard for Jesus. Imagine you are in the crowd. Would you cheer or stay quiet? Say this: Jesus came to Jerusalem. 7. The last week. Jesus' last week was big. It started in Jerusalem. He ate with his disciples. This was the Last Supper. He took bread. He broke it. He said, "This is my body." He took wine. He said, "This is my blood." He shared it. He said, "Remember me." Christians do this today. The room was small. The night was dark. He said, "One of you will betray me." That was Judas. He said to Peter, "You will deny me 3 times." After supper, they went to a garden. It was Gethsemane. Jesus prayed. He was sad. He said, "God, I'm scared, but I'll do what you want." Trees stood tall. Stars shone above. Judas came with soldiers. He kissed Jesus. This was the sign. The soldiers grabbed him. The disciples wanted to fight. Jesus said, "No. Put your swords away." They took him to the leaders. They asked, "Are you a king?" Jesus said, "My kingdom is not here." They got mad. Torches lit the night. They took him to Pontius Pilate. Pilate was a Roman boss. They said, "Jesus makes trouble." Pilate asked, "What did you do?" Jesus was quiet. Pilate said, "I see no problem." But the crowd yelled, "Kill him! Put him on a cross." Pilate was scared. He said, "He will die." Imagine you are Pilate. What would you do? Say this: Jesus ate with friends. 8. Death and beyond. Jesus died on a cross. Soldiers nailed his hands. They nailed his feet. It was painful. People watched. Some cried. Some laughed. He stayed there for hours. Then he died. His friends felt lost. The sky turned dark. The ground shook a little. A man, Joseph of Arimathea, came. He took Jesus' body. He wrapped it in cloth. He put it in a tomb. The tomb was a cave. A big stone closed it. Guards watched it. Everyone went away. Women cried softly. The day ended sadly. On Sunday, women came. Mary Magdalene was there. They brought spices. They saw the stone moved. The tomb was empty. They were shocked. "Where is he?" they asked. The Gospels say Jesus lived again. He met Mary. She cried with joy. He met his disciples. They ate together. He said, "Don't be afraid." They hugged him. They smiled again. This went on for days. Then Jesus left. He went up to heaven. His disciples watched. A cloud hid him. They said, "He's with God now." Christians believe this. His story ended, but it still grows. Imagine you are Mary. How would you feel seeing Jesus again? Say this: Jesus lived again. That's Jesus' story. He lived long ago. His life was short, but it was strong. Filled with love. He did miracles. He died. Came back, some say. Today, millions know him. Some pray to him. Others read about him. His story lasts. Thanks for listening. Imagine you meet Jesus. What would you say? Tell me next time. Bye for now.